Damn, I think... And we can't die. We have work tomorrow.
Shh. Where's that?
That's to the empty lot out back.
This is just awful.
Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. Let's go, let's go. What else am I supposed to say?
This is a disaster.
Shh.
Russia is on fire. Ukraine launched a night of total retribution for Kiev's terror. Drones and Neptunes tore Russia apart. Oil, air defense, and factories are in ruins. Apocalypse in Novorossiysk. The detonation of ammunition can be seen for dozens of kilometers. The oil heart of Russia beats in agony. The lights went out and the panic intensified. Donetsk plunged into a black hole from the drone strikes. 600 kilometers didn't save them. The Saratov oil refinery went up like a match. Russia is left without electricity, heat, or internet. For the Kremlin, an era of total darkness has begun. We'll tell you all the details in just a moment. Hello, this is Ukraine Today. I'm Victoria Panchenko, and here are the latest events. Hellish revenge for Kiev. Last night, in response to Russian aggression, Ukraine attacked 4 targets on Russian territory and in the occupied areas. Donetsk explosive adrenaline. The hangars of the metallurgical giant went up in the air. The explosions were so intense there that they could be seen even from places where the Russian world thought it was out of reach.
It's circling right above us. I'll show you an exercise.
The drones are flying over us just like they're our own. The guys are trying to shoot it down. There. There goes the bastard flying away. They became active today. This is no longer just one, in short. These are aircraft-type drones. In short, they fly.
Saratov was engulfed in fiery horror. Ukrainian drones struck a local oil refinery 600 kilometers from the border. Another one has no analogs. The object burst into flames like a match. Novorossiysk. Explosions, panic, flames. The Sheskari's oil transshipment port and S-400 positions are covered with incredible precision. A strike 350 kilometers from the front line. The Kremlin never expected this, even in its worst nightmares. And now more details. On the night of November 14th, Novorossiysk turned into a fire trap. One of Russia's largest oil terminals, Sheskari's, caught fire after a drone raid. Locals first heard a hum, then explosions, and then a giant torch rose into the sky, lighting up half the city. Photos and videos instantly spread across the internet.
They're aiming right at the house. Vlad, step back. They might think right now that...
The head of the Center for Countering Disinformation under the National Security and Defense Council, Andriy Kovalenko, also posted a video of the explosion and fire at the Russian facility on his Telegram channel. Later, it became known that Ukrainian forces successfully used long-range Neptunes on Russian territory that night. This was reported by the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky.
Last night, our military successfully used long-range Neptunes against specific targets on Russian territory. And this is our completely justified response to the ongoing Russian terror. Ukrainian missiles are delivering more significant and precise results almost every month.
Last night, Novorossiysk was burning like never before. The moment of the ammunition detonation and the unforgettable impressions of the occupiers were caught on camera. The main strike hit the Sheskari's complex, which is the heart of Russian oil exports through which millions of barrels pass every day. That's 5% of the world's maritime oil shipments. One night, several precision strikes, and this entire fuel empire was smoking until morning. But that's not all. An S-300-400 position, which was supposed to protect this area, was also hit.
Where's that going? That's to the empty lot back there.
This is just awful.
Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. Let's go, let's go.
Saratov was burning that night too. Drones struck the oil refinery so hard that the sky turned red. The city is paralyzed, smoke stands like a wall, and the glow can be seen for hundreds of kilometers.
It's flying.
The Ukrainian Defense Forces also struck Russian military targets in occupied Donetsk. At 8 p.m., the city was shaken by a swarm of Ukrainian drones. Russian air defense fired chaotically, almost at random.
It's circling right above us. It's making its incredible fifth circle.
According to eyewitnesses, the attack was carried out by dozens of drones which came in waves and circled over the city for a long time. I managed to
Not get hit like that? Oh my God. God, protect all the wings. Lord, our poor hands. In
part of Donetsk, the power went out. 22 substations shut down automatically. 3,100 subscribers are without electricity.
Charge your phones. Looks like they're trying to cut off our power everywhere. I've already counted more than 30 of them.
In addition, a large fire has been reported at the local metallurgical plant. Ukraine is responding harshly and precisely. Every barbaric shelling by the Russian Federation means one less factory, port, oil depot, or air defense system for them. Russians should get used to living in darkness and cold because the response will only get harsher. And ahead lies a long, harsh Russian winter. At
night on November 9th, the Ukrainian armed forces struck the Voronezh thermal power plant. After the strike, electricity disappeared and then reappeared in several houses. The Voronezh thermal power plant is one of the largest suppliers of thermal energy in the region and provides it to 4 districts of the city.
Right before my eyes, I had just stepped out onto the balcony. Right over there, along the wires, apparently in short. No, well, I heard 3, but they're saying 4. In
Belgorod, this incident was attacked, leaving tens of thousands of residents without power. The governor of the region, Vyacheslav Gladkov, stated that the damage is very serious.
As a result of yesterday's evening rocket attack, there is serious damage to the power supply and heating systems of the city of Belgorod. But our energy workers, as always, are heroically trying to cope with the task at hand. They are currently working on restoring things. Restoring the damage that our enemies have caused us.
A day before that, Ukrainian drones struck energy facilities in Saratov, Engels, and the Volgograd region. Power outages were also recorded there. With massive drone and missile attacks, Russia is trying to plunge Ukraine into a blackout. In turn, the Ukrainian army is delivering symmetrical strikes on Russia's energy sector. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that the authorities are ready and will not only defend the infrastructure, but also pose threats. Strikes in response.
What will happen with the electricity? Today it's hard for me to say. We will be ready for any retaliatory challenges. We work on this every day. We will defend, we will fight. Russians must know that, step by step, we will increase the production of everything so that they also feel what we feel. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine.
In 2025, Russia is experiencing a trend of increasing electricity shortages as of October this year. The shortage of capacity in the power grid reaches tens of gigawatts. This was reported by the Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine.
Due to the demand from industrial, residential and municipal consumers exceeding the total generation of all power plants, as of October this year, the shortage of capacity in the power grid has already reached 25 gigawatts. Despite attempts by the REF government to introduce at least some measures to stabilize its energy system, such as monetary compensation or discounts on electricity bills for voluntarily reducing consumption during peak hours, as well as disconnecting consumers who do not require guaranteed power supply, the growing electricity deficit points to a systemic crisis in the Russian energy sector. The Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine.
In addition to wear and overload, systematic strikes by the armed forces of Ukraine are also affecting the Russian energy system. If Ukrainian strikes even partially damage Russian thermal power plants, this will cause significant problems for Russia's energy sector. The armed forces of Ukraine have already brought a blackout in southern Russia 60% closer.
Strikes by the armed forces of Ukraine are gradually knocking out high-voltage substations, which make it possible to transfer electricity from one region to another. If thermal power plants are also destroyed, their situation will become significantly more difficult than ours. Alexander Karchenko, director of the Energy Research Center.
Not only Russian regions, but also Moscow are suffering from Ukrainian drone attacks and power outages. This has a very serious, not just propagandistic significance directly for the Kremlin. Let me remind you that one of the reasons for launching the so-called special military operation was the issue of guaranteeing the security of the Russian Federation itself. At least that's how Putin and his inner circle explained it. Now we see the war coming directly to Moscow. And not just to Muscovites. We see that the geography of Ukraine's drone attacks is expanding. Ukrainians have long since gotten used to and adapted to power and heating outages. But for Russians, this comes as an unexpected surprise. So it's time to start stocking up on matches, candles, and firewood.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
Meanwhile, in Russia, they're even starting to cut off the internet. Ulyanovsk has been out of service for a week already, and that's how it will be until the end of the war. In St. Petersburg, Sochi, Tula, Voronezh, Krasnodar, Saratov, and other cities, there are mass complaints about outages. It seems the Kremlin is preparing the country for digital darkness, and this is only the beginning of a real apocalypse. There will be a harsh response for the strikes on Ukraine.
More and more Russian cities are plunging into darkness. If Russians attack the Ukrainian energy system, Ukraine will attack the Russian one. The Ukrainian authorities warned about this, and the defense forces have clearly demonstrated it. The roofs
have been blown off.
This is what the Voronezh CHP plant looks like now, for example. It was attacked on November 9th. Reports say there were at least 3 direct hits. After the explosions, part of the city was left without electricity.
Voronezh is quite a significant city. There are a lot of enterprises in Voronezh that operate there, including electronics. There are also aviation and military enterprises there.
This is exactly the difference between Russian and Ukrainian strikes on the energy system. In addition to a deserved response, the goal of Ukrainian defenders is to plunge into darkness those energy infrastructure facilities that support the operation of the Russian defense industry. This is
a dual purpose. First, it really shows Russia that they are not the only ones capable of such actions. We can respond in kind to certain things as well. And indeed, it is truly an attempt to stop their powerful machine and to undermine the military-industrial complex that is actively working against us in this ongoing war.
I think this trend will continue. At first glance, it may seem like just pecking away at the liver of Russia's energy system, but gradually various elements of the infrastructure will be knocked out. At first, it might just seem satisfying that somewhere in Belgorod or Voronezh, people had to sit without electricity. But let's think about it. In some ways, the configuration of the Russian energy system might be similar to ours, in the sense that the same power lines can supply not only the residential sector, but also, for example, industry and railway transport.
That's why none of these attacks are random. The goal is not just to respond, but to respond painfully, so that the facilities supplying power to the military-industrial enterprises of the aggressor country cannot fuel the Kremlin's ambitions.
When various elements of the integrity of the Russian energy system are gradually undermined, it primarily means that somewhere a train carrying something the Russians need for the war will come to a halt. Or there will be rolling blackouts at a factory producing important goods for Russia. And
not all such enterprises are located deep in the rear, experts say. Many facilities are located not far from the Ukrainian border. For example, strategic Tu-95 MS bombers are repaired in Taganrog. And one of the manufacturers of components for the Russian missile program, specifically solid fuel for the Iskanders, is located just 150 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Plunging them into electrical darkness is quite possible. There are undoubtedly such important facilities for the Russian military-industrial complex in the Moscow region as well. And for that matter, in Moscow itself.
I think it's the psychological factor. When Moscow is plunged into darkness, it will be much more effective than just shutting down a few factories. Because it's precisely this main mass, office plankton, who live off the regions. Finally, even they will realize that something is happening and something needs to be done.
In this way, Ukraine will kill not just 2, but actually 3 birds with 1 stone at once. A fair and proportionate response, paralyzing Russian military-industrial facilities and applying psychological pressure on the Kremlin, sounds like the perfect goal for the next planned blackout.
Clear skies above your head.